With all of the news that Japanese companies, or just in general, that companies outside of the US are slowly taking more and more money from American investment firms that seek to impose their own ideologies onto them, it can be a little bit depressing when you see companies that you thought that would be untouched by the West slowly start to gain more influence when it comes to accepting money. This is something that we've seen with companies like Bandai and Capcom, and it can be very depressing, especially considering that we thought that they would remain pure, I guess is the term that we could use for the most part. However, today I wanted to bring something to some people's attention that I thought was relatively interesting. This article from the Japan Times was given to me by a fan after I was looking for it, because this video that was put out on YouTube by Wagner Knows Why. He is a smaller content creator like myself that puts out interesting videos, and I consider that you should go give it a watch. I'll go ahead and link it in the description if you're interested. But his video is titled that Nintendo bans Blackrock from buying shares. The video is somewhat short, as this one, but he goes over some of the potential reasons why Nintendo's shares, which are for the most part held by the Kyoto Bank as a majority, might be locked away. I wanted to go over this article today, read some of it to you, and then I wish to talk about some of the differences that I feel like we're seeing with these Japanese companies in general, because it does appear, at the very least from the outset, that we are seeing a lot of influence from the West, primarily, slowly leaking into these video game companies and just these media companies in general. And I feel like it's important to bring awareness to that and to talk about that. So we're going to do that today. Really quickly, before we start, if you could like and subscribe to the video, make sure you are still subscribed so that you can continue to see my videos and potentially turn on notifications so that you know when I go live or I post a video. I deeply appreciate it. Anyway, moving on to the main topic of the video here. This article, again, by the Japan Times, and I will also link this one in the description as well if you would like to read it for yourself as well, says that Kyoto Bank defies calls to unwind holdings after a 6 billion gain. Now, I am pretty sure that is yen. It could also be American currency as well, but considering that it is the Japan Times, I'm going to think that that is 6 billion yen, or just in general, a significant amount of money on their part. So going through this article here, and I will read snippets of it instead of the entire thing. It says that a growing number of business leaders in Japan are pledging to unwind their vast networks of cross-held shares to satisfy the nation's top regulators and activist shareholders. Nobuhiro Doi, I hope I'm saying his name right, is not one of them. His Kyoto Financial Group has amassed unrealized profits more than 6 billion on holdings in other firms, and the company's president says he plans to keep many of them. And again, one of those big ones, as it says here in the article, the lender's strategic holdings include the region's top tech firms such as video game pioneer Nintendo and motor maker Nidec. I am unfamiliar with the motor maker there. And it's very interesting to see that they are kind of holding on to their hold on these companies, especially since, you know, when you look at companies like Bandai here, and I'll show you an article that like I found during my research of this. When you look at companies like Bandai that are slowly like giving into the influence of the West here, in this article here, it even says that Bandai limits the people that make characters and tells them to censor them by reducing the cleavage, or reducing the skirt, or making the skirt longer. But it's just quite a huge contrast, because, you know, the Kyoto Bank here is essentially holding on to their shareholds and their grip on Nintendo. And so it is very interesting here. Continuing on here, it says, instead of caving to pressure, Doi said that he will step up his efforts to reach out to stakeholders and explain the bank's rationale for these strategic takes. Quote, they are not simple cross-shareholdings. We invested in these companies since their foundation, and most of them are expected to grow further, Doi said in an interview. So, it is better to keep investments in these excellent companies. His outside profits explain why. Many of these stocks were acquired decades ago when they were a lot cheaper, resulting in massive paper gains that now exceed 1 trillion yen, or $6.2 billion, according to Doi. That's more than the firm's own market capitalization of 834 billion yen. Quote, "Is it such a bad thing to have big unrealized gains? I would like to seek understanding," he said. "We have substantial shares in Nintendo and Kyoshira." I'm pronouncing that wrong, I apologize. "If we say we'll sell them all, it will disrupt the stock market." So he's saying here basically is he doesn't wish to sell because they're going to continue to grow, and he believes that they're going to continue to grow. It continues on here by saying that banks and other companies with big strategic shareholdings have been under growing pressure to reduce them in recent years. Cross-shareholdings in Japan have been criticized for causing cozy relations between companies that stifle competition and innovation. As shareholders become more vocal in expressing their complaints and wishes for management in recent years, Doi saw a shrinking number of votes supporting his re-election to the board, garnering only 62% of the ballots cast at last year's general meeting. The bank attracted attention when Silchester International Investors made a shareholder proposal calling for special dividends in 2022 and 2023. They said at the time that the bank should only sell its cross-shareholdings if all the proceeds were used to reproduce the company's shares, noting the significant loss of dividend income and capital gain taxes for any such share. Both were voted down. U.S. proxy advisory firm Institutional Shareholder Services recommended voting against Doi at this year's AGM in late June because of the bank's hefty holding in client shares. So they were trying to vote him out, it basically sounds like, because they were dissatisfied with how he ran things. However, it sounds like he was reelected to the board after securing 75% of the vote. So even though some people were unhappy with them, including, it sounds like, some U.S. proxy firms, he still maintains his hold on the board, with a majority of the people sounding happy with what he is planning to do. And why are they so happy? So it says here, quote, "We are thinking about looking for investors who agree with our policies in regions like Asia and the Middle East." So it sounds like the Kyoto Bank, at the very least, when it comes to shares like Nintendo and a couple of the technology firms that they hold a grip on, they are looking for people that share their values that may not include the West. And to be honest with you, after seeing all of the crap that's been happening with companies like Capcom and companies like Bandai Namco, I do not necessarily fault the guy for that. Like I said, again, you know, we have Bandai that is censoring and doing a whole lot of, like, stupid stuff, allowing the localizers to basically change things for modern audiences. And what has that led to? That has led to a decrease in love for these companies, especially at least over in the West. I am not quite sure the sentiment over in Japan or in the more Asian-styled countries, but I do know for a fact that not a lot of people are very happy about this. I do remember recently that because of the failure of some Western games, Sony has thought about increasing the price for the PS5 in Japan only. I could be wrong about that, please correct me, but in Japan only, it sounds like they're planning to increase the price of the PS5 to offset, like, the failure of some of their titles, and that's pretty crazy. That's pretty insane. But, like, we're seeing a shift right now, and I really, really, really hope that Japan figures this out quickly. Because in the West, we are dealing with the repercussions of the games that we love being tainted and messed with. We just recently got news that Blue Protocol is shutting down and will not even come to the States. This was a game that was announced back in 2019 that a lot of people seemed very interested and excited over. I've been told that it was a somewhat bland title and there wasn't really a lot of interest for it. However, unfortunately, due to the fact that Bandai, like, went with Amazon to help publish the game, I can probably guess why some of it wasn't that interesting. I've been told that, like, there was a lot of censorship that Amazon wanted to impose upon the game for whatever reason. And I don't know. So I have been very interested in the continued interest of companies in America, investment firms, those like BlackRock, that are trying to excise a hold and try and grab and buy shares in companies from Asia, from Japan. And it's very obvious why they would like to do so. You've got multiple mediums like manga, like anime. VTubing, I would count now, especially as well, knowing that BlackRock has bought shares in HoloLive, or at the very least is planning on it. But you have these mediums that are widely successful. Why are they widely successful? Because they're not doing what the West is doing. They're not censoring things. They're not making things for a quote-unquote modern audience that does not exist. They are creating original content. And I believe that these investment firms like BlackRock are looking at what they believe is a cash cow and thinking to themselves that they can cash in on it. And that's not going to work, because here's what's going to happen if that actually happens. If we allow these investment firms to buy into our favorite companies, to buy into all of these things, we are not going to have content that is good very much longer. And we're already seeing it with some of these companies, where they are, again, censoring things. Wrong article. This one right here, where they are censoring things. And they are bringing DEI into their companies, and now we don't want their products. Now, a lot of Bandai's games just don't feel that interesting anymore. I've heard from a couple of different people that the newest Tekken game isn't that exciting or that interesting. Or that just they're decreasing the love that is put into some of their products. And that's not going to lead to the long-term gains that I think some of these investment firms are looking for. They're looking at, oh, this product is doing well. Well, I don't know why it's doing well, but maybe we should invest in it and maybe it'll do well. And I do think that's not all of it. Some of it's probably DEI related as well. Some of them want to get in there, put their own values to things and change it and make it worse and sad. But I do believe that some of these investment firms that do have a considerable pull over these companies now are looking in and they are thinking, how can we make money off of that? Because that looks really interesting. And in the long term, it's just ruining them. It's just ruining them. All of them except for Nintendo here. All of them except for Nintendo. Because Nintendo shares, where are they? They're in Kyoto Bank. Is Kyoto Bank going to sell them? Not very immediately. They're looking for audiences that will buy those shares and help grow the company instead of tear it down. And in my personal opinion, if that is the case, then I am glad that Nobuhiro is still in charge of the bank and still in charge of some of these wide investments. Because I'll be honest with you, while Nintendo sometimes has some slip-ups here and there, you know, I think that we need a company or two to be the bright shining examples of people that will not lose their values because people are telling them to keep them. And I think that's good. I think it's good that we've got some people that are willing to push back against massive investment firms like this, push back and say, no, we are going to hold on to what we have because we believe that it will continue to grow and we don't feel like selling them. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. But what do you guys think? I would like to know what you guys think in the comments down below. I deeply appreciate you if you got to this point in the video. If you did, again, remember to like and subscribe. Comment down below what you thought of all of this today, if you think that anything I got was wrong, or if you would like to add to the conversation by talking about other articles that I could potentially add on to this, maybe in a future video. I deeply appreciate looking into topics like this because it is something I'm very passionate about. I'm very passionate about media just in general and all of this because, you know, it's something that I actively consume and something that I feel like a lot of people actively consume. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye!